Good morning, friends. This is Yana Ben-Nun, Israeli News Live, Rise Up Children of God, DeNoon Institute of Biblical Research. Anything else, Steve? Steve and Yana Ben-Nun on brand new tube. Yes, we're going to start putting stuff over there. Finally, the creators of platform contacted us and we fixed few little things that were wrong with our system there. So hopefully it's going to go well. Anyway, I'll leave you a link to a brand new tube so you can keep signing up over there just in case they take us down on the YouTube. But anyway, I want to point your attention to a pledge. Yes, a pledge that 9 vaccine makers signed. They signed safety pledge in the race for coronavirus vaccine. Well, I was researching what pledge did they sign, and here we have a PDF version of the pledge. Okay, biopharma leaders unite to stand with science. Here we go. So it is the CEO of AstraZeneca, BioNTech, GlaxoSmithKline, Johnson & Johnson, Merck, Moderna, Novavax, Pfizer, Sanofi. So these are the people, or actually companies who signed pledge. Let's read what the pledge says. Okay, all 9 CEOs signed the following pledge. We, the undersigned biopharmaceutical companies, want to make clear our ongoing commitment to developing and testing potential vaccines for COVID-19 in accordance with high ethical standards and sound scientific principles. The safety and efficacy of vaccines, including any potential vaccine for COVID-19, is reviewed and determined by expert regulatory agencies around the world, such as the United States Food and Drug Administration. Oh my goodness. So they're saying that, wow, we are making safe vaccines. We are assuring you, we are giving you our pledge. We are giving you our word that these vaccines are going to be safe, effective. And who is looking after them for this efficacy? Well, FDA. It says FDA has established clear guidance for the development of COVID-19 vaccines and clear criteria for their potential authorization or approval in the US. FDA's guidance and criteria are based on scientific and medical principles necessary to clearly demonstrate the safety and efficacy of potential COVID-19 vaccines. All right, so more specifically, the agency requires that scientific evidence for regulatory approval must come from large, high-quality clinical trials that are randomized and observer-blinded, with an expectation of appropriately designed studies with significant numbers of participants across diverse populations. Well, now, guess what? Yeah, I am lining up to get your vaccine because you gave a pledge and because FDA is the agency looking after you. Yeah, sure. Exactly. With all of your records of what vaccine have caused in the past. And now, even latest news is that World Health Organization is affirming that Bill Gates' vaccines are cause of disease. Okay, but anyway, let's keep going. Following guidance from expert regulatory authorities such as FDA regarding the development of COVID-19 vaccines consistent with existing standards and practices are in the interest of public health. Well, we pledge to always make the safety and well-being of vaccinated individuals our top priority. Yeah, they are really, they pledge that your safety is their number one priority. Do you really believe this? Do you believe this? Okay, let's go and see what FDA does. For example, here was a report from August 14, 2018. Now, look, FDA purchases fresh aborted babies from criminal organization to create humanized mice. Yeah, they're purchasing fresh aborted babies to create humanized mice. Something Celeste Solum said that humanized mice parts or cells will be used in that COVID-19 vaccine. Okay, let's read about this a little bit. So here is your ethical organization that pledges that your safety and your health is their number one concern. With the recent surprising news about the U.S. Health and Human Services contradictions to their pro-life stance, it is not a shock to see the U.S. Food and Drug Administration contracting with Advanced Bioscience Resources, ABR, known for criminal charges relating to illegally selling fetal body parts. The FDA intends to use the fetal tissue to transplant into humanized mice so that these mice will have a functioning human immune system. Quote, the U.S. Food and Drug Administration is committed to ensuring that its research is conducted responsibly, conforms with all legal requirements, and meets the highest ethical standards, the FDA said in a statement, end of quote. It looks like their highest ethical standard does not include the ethics of buying baby parts, let alone parts from a company under investigation. Not only is Planned Parenthood continuing to receive funding by American citizens, but FDA, who is buying these parts, is using taxpayer money. In fact, the FDA estimates $103 million in taxpayer money will be used on human fetal tissue research. So here we go. This is your FDA for you. Even with the ABR's criminal charges, the FDA's reason for choosing ABR as a supplier is it is supposedly the only company in the US capable of supplying tissue suitable for humanized mice research, as stated in their pre-solicitation notice. For the benefit of research, the FDA is willing to fund an industry which thrives on abortions. So here is who is watching after all of these 9 companies. It's the ethical FDA, right? What else does FDA do? Okay, but let's see here. I think that FDA, I had article on here, and diseased chickens for dinner. The USDA is considering it. So these type of companies that are watching for the safety of your food and medicines are actually highly criminal organizations. Okay, very unchristian, very much against all of our Christian values. But here, like USDA, for example, from August 11th, 2020, a proposed new rule would allow poultry plants to process diseased chickens. Okay. Here is one unexpected consequence of Defense Production Act. Your food is less safe. When President Trump invoked the act 3 months ago as a means to bolster American food security, it marked the beginning of a campaign to deregulate the meat industry. Well, what happened with the deregulation is that they are approving diseased chicken to be sold to you. The most likely outcome of this deregulation is to further imperil rather than strengthen the security of our food supply. Consider the decision last month by the Agriculture Department's Food Safety and Inspection Service to allow poultry plants to process diseased chickens for human consumption. In July, the FSIS approved a petition from the National Chicken Council requesting that slaughterhouses be allowed to process broilers infected with avian leukosis, a virus that causes chickens to develop cancerous lesions and tumors. Inspectors would no longer be required to examine the first 300 birds of each flock for signs of the disease, and processors would be able to cut off tumors and lesions and then process the rest of the bird. So here we go. These are these USDA, FDA, and all of these organizations that are basically criminal organizations. I have article here. What's that? Okay, here we go. From August 28, 2020, The Intercept, yes, drug companies continue to shed liability for rushed coronavirus treatment. Now, you know what the big problem with this pledge is? That they're pledging, right? That their number one priority is your health and your safety. And they're saying they have high ethical standards. And who is overlooking them? Well, FDA. FDA that works with criminal organizations and buying baby parts. Okay. But then at the same time, these vaccine companies have immunity, meaning that you cannot sue them if something happens to you from this vaccine or if something happens to your child. Let's read about this. This was a report by Sharon Lerner from August 28, 2020. It says in here, despite experts' repeated warnings that rushing a vaccine for COVID-19 could endanger hundreds of millions of people, President Donald Trump has made it clear that he wants to fast-track a vaccine. His plan reportedly is to bypass regulatory standards in order to have a vaccine ready before Election Day. He just said this. I played it on Brain YouTube. You have a little part of my video that I did on Patreon, and where I played and analyzed Trump's speech on a Labor Day to mark the Labor Day, where he was promising Americans safe, effective vaccine by Election Day. And he said, great surprise in October is coming. And he said, you're going to like it. That's right. So his plan reportedly is to bypass regulatory standards in order to have a vaccine ready before Election Day. Now, this is what's scary. According to a law passed this spring, I think that law passed in April, pretty much, but what will happen to the companies that make and market the vaccine if people discover they have been harmed by a product that was hastily brought to market? According to a law passed this spring, pretty much nothing. An amendment to the PrEP Act, which was updated in April of 2020, stipulates that companies cannot be sued for money damages in court over injuries caused by medical countermeasures for COVID-19. Such countermeasures include vaccines, therapeutics, and respiratory devices. The only exception to this immunity is if death or serious physical injury is caused by willful misconduct. And even then, the people who are harmed will have to meet heightened standards for willful misconduct that are favorable for defendants. And while the people harmed by vaccine for other diseases are able to file claims with the National Vaccine Injury Compensation Program, which was established in 1986, the PrEP Act now bars anyone who feels they were harmed by a vaccine for the coronavirus from using the program. So that means you won't be even able, not to sue those companies, okay, but you won't be able to even file claim with National Vaccine Injury Compensation Program according to the newest updated PrEP Act. So this is how much these vaccine companies love you, and this is what their pledge really means. You see, if they truly loved you, you would be able to sue them if you were harmed in any way from the vaccine, right? Well, that's what common sense dictates, at least to me, to my logic, right? Well, I will leave you a link for this, and you can read the entire article. It's an extremely important article to read, the entire thing. I'm not going to read the whole thing here, obviously, but I will leave you a link for a little homework for yourself. But here we go. They keep blabbing the same beautiful words, and it's like a poison, like a snake poison. It says, we believe this pledge will help ensure public confidence in a rigorous scientific and regulatory process by which COVID-19 vaccines are evaluated and may ultimately be approved. Really? And this pledge, with your history and your criminality, is supposed to help us to ensure that we have confidence in you? I think not. What do you think, friends? Leave me comments below. Tell me what you think about this pledge and if you trust this pledge, and share the video, please. Thank you very much. Have a beautiful